their old age. It's like your old age is because it's more or less like a curse to yourselves and even to us. Have you can classify as what should we class? Thank you, by the way, Inebe Young, that you are on hand, just like Showore yesterday, when they brought one Ramota Abisarata to come and talk about Onjeku. Our governor is trying. The hardship in Lagos is not like that hardship of Nigeria, because Sonweku is giving them Onjeku. And Showore was like, man, this is not fair on this girl. Why do you have to do this to this young girl? Why not just send people who are actually really hitting the money? Send them here to come and talk. Not all these ones that you are giving there. But see this old man. Why? Dear old people.
That you agree that Nigerians died in Zaria that day, but we don't know how many?
We don't know how many. People die because of wrong decisions by even those who
that's what I'm saying,
involved.
But isn't it worse?
If the armed forces and you go and confront them, or the police, you go and confront them for whatever reason. Okay. You go and say that there's a path they should not come. They should not.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, isn't it worse that we don't even know how many Nigerian lives were lost that day?
Otherwise, you wasn't the situation.
Let's take the conversation.
You are in a very critical position that whatever you say must be measured in such a way that it will not aggravate our position.
All right, sir. Let's take the conversation away from Zaria to the NSAS protest, because that was the yardstick by which this protest has been judged.
Yes.
Is there any justification for the killings that happened at the NSAS protest?
Which killings?
So are you saying categorically that nobody was killed at the NSAS protest?
Let me tell you. If in the name of any protest you go and start burning properties, private property, public property.
No, sir. It wasn't what we're talking about. It's what happened on the 20th of October.
Let us agree that all of us here do not have all the facts.
Sir, but we did see videos. There were videos.
I don't know what video you saw. I have not seen any such
We saw live stream videos, sir.
Let me tell you, tomorrow, and that is why some of us are warning against this planned protest. People will take laws into their hands and they expect to be treated, not as criminals.
Sir, there were Nigerians, young people sitting on the ground, waving the Nigerian flag and singing. There were videos.
It is not enough to wave Nigerian flag. You must not be destructive in whatever you do. You're right. Has limitations.
So we're not talking about the hoodlums. We're talking about a particular incident.
Could you distinguish between hoodlums and non-hoodlums in a riotous situation?
And what do you think about the ECOWAS court having found Nigeria, the federal government, culpable on
that's not my business. I am not a lawyer to the government. I was not part of whatever ECOWAS did.
All right.
Let's bring in Inibehe.
As far as I'm concerned, I want verifiable evidence.
All right,
and we must be very careful when we talk in platforms like this, because the people are listening. And they will assume that whatever they hear from you are the gospel truth, and they may not be.
Okay, Inibehe, you were here as well. You were part of, everyone followed the October 2020 NSAS protest. And we call it October 2020 because that was the day that the incident occurred, the one that was taken to ECOWAS court. And, we sort of all saw the videos on social media that was being streamed live, even though at some point many Nigerians were gaslit to imagine that they did not see what they saw. But I want you to react to the explanation that the Honorable Minister has given regarding the NSAS protest, the Zaria incident, and, how Nigerians have handled that and how the federal government has handled that as well.
The government has been asking for the sponsors of this October 1st nationwide protest.
August 1st?
And August 1st, yes. Thank you. August 1st to 10th End Bad Governance protest. I think Mr. Adebayo Shitu, with due respect, is one of them. And he's sponsoring it by inciting Nigeria. When people make this sort of comments, with due respect to him, it's a way of provoking people, right? You don't deny things that are before you. Even the Kaduna panel,
just promoting your own position, which is anti-government.
Sir, I do think that he has a right. I think that he has a right.
Sit here and allow him to make.
No, sir, you would have a right to respond.
No. But
he didn't interrupt you, sir. He didn't interrupt you, sir. Please, can we give him a chance to speak, and then you can have a right to respond.
Even the Kaduna panel, set up by Governor El-Rufai, confirmed that.
Your reaction to what the former minister here has said regarding President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's time in office. What are your thoughts on how he has fared so far?
Confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Confirm you can hear me.
We can hear you. Yes.
I'm saying that for the IG to say that for anyone to protest, the person has to come forward and provide certain information. That is not tenable, because that would mean laying a precedent. Or is it only applicable to this particular protest? Have they been setting these conditions for other protests? So let the IG focus on what is important. And if I could just quickly respond to what Mr. Adebayo Oshitu has, some of the things I heard him say in the course of his interview. I have a problem with people who have been privileged to hold positions in this country, and I hope he is listening to me. I respect him as a senior lawyer in the country, but when he speaks in this manner, it reminds you of the predicament that young people have found themselves in this country. That we have, people occupying leadership positions, past or present, who are basically living in denial. For him to say that calling for an end to bad governance amounts to treason, to say the least, is quite unfortunate. We must find a way in this country to caution ourselves as leaders and citizens from making comments that are inciting. Nigerians have the right to demand an end to bad governance. I am aware that Mr. Shitu had served under the Buhari regime, even though at some point he seems to have fallen out with the former president. But that was the regime that oversaw the slaughter of Nigerians, the murder of hundreds of Nigerians. People were killed, people were arrested and detained. The country was entirely insecure. But Buhari ruined and destroyed this country. So before they begin to dictate to us how to tell the government, the current government, to behave, they should start by apologizing for the role they played under the former government. And let us be serious about this matter. Anybody who says that Tinubu is doing well is not being sincere with himself, his or herself, because Tinubu himself knows that he has been nothing but a colossal failure. What is the legacy? This president has been in office for 1 year. 1 year is a good enough time. It is ample time for any president that has the interest of the country to set things in the right direction. Rather, what we have seen is a clear state capture, vicious state capture. We are seeing the personalization of governance. We are seeing the undermining of democratic institutions. You have a situation where, for example, the president's son, or who in some sense appears to be the first son, as I choose to call him, basically takes precedence over ministers in public functions. You see him running all over the president everywhere. And the same thing for Folashade Tinubu, who is even coming out in public spaces to be making ridiculous statements. These people are basically telling you, of course they told us it was his turn. The point I am making, I need to emphasize why this is important. This is not a pedestrian matter. Why this is important is that if you mean well for the country, it is not just about your policies. Even your body language as president will convince people that you mean well. But we have a situation where inflation has become very abominable. This president, under him, the tariff of electricity has been increased. They claim they have removed subsidy, which is deceitful. Mr. Shito has also alluded to that deceit by saying that Tinubu has removed subsidy. But we know, all of you in this studio know that Tinubu has paid billions for subsidy. As I'm talking to you now, fuel queue in Lagos is terrible. People cannot find fuel to buy. Across the country, Nigerians are buying fuel up to 1,300 naira today. And yet we cannot afford the cost of basic commodities. And somebody will come to a studio and say the president is doing well.
All right, kindly hold on. Kindly hold on, so we could also have.
They're having communication problem because it's a link-up convo, right? So, News Central gave us that. Did you hear Shitu? That's the way they do. They shout you down. They don't you have respect? Don't you have, when you say something and they know it's true, right? They interrupt you. Even at that. Like, it's gone out the days, though, when you go see one useless, foolish old man, oh, they try to throw around or throw about that his ignorance and his foolishness. Don't get deceived, though. Foolish people also grow old, though. Do you understand that? And foolish people also, they can grow old. It's just because in a democracy as well, right? They said, be very, very careful In fact, be worried of the foolish people among you. Because in a democracy, if you have them in large numbers, they can elect a president, and that president can elect, can appoint other foolish people that will make themselves feel like they actually have intelligence, right? And that's what that guy is. And there are many like that. The whole place is falling apart, but they will keep lying. When you tell them you are lying, how can you say Agbalagba is lying? How can you say elder is lying? I show for danu in Agba for you. I show for danu. Agbalagba is lying. You are lying. And then you have a generation that's going to say to your face that you are a liar. You born liars. Bunch of failures. So somebody say, what about your father? My dad never came out to say he can fix anything in your public. My dad happened to be one of those they rob, like your father. Like they robbed your father, robbed your mother, and they are robbing you now. So they robbed my mom. They never had to benefit anything, but they gave everything to Nigeria they could take from them, in case if you don't know. He was a businessman, you know. But he never lived in a Nigeria that has 24 hours electricity, that has a functional medical system, or that has a stable security system, or the one that has up-to-date infrastructure before he died. He didn't die a poor man, lucky him. At the same time, right, he died like a regular Nigerian, suffering and smiling. I better pass my neighbor. That's how he died. But these guys came out that they will fix the country, only to milk the country, ruin the country. So my own father, my own mother, your father, your mother, if they had fought them, me and you won't need to hold them today, or maybe not this much. So you don't need my father before you can hold the criminals that robbed you blind, and they are flaunting it before you. Yesterday, in Ileshan Remo, that is in Ogun State, where dubious Dapo was also gaslighting the people. He got booed. So I bring you the better clip now, okay? And he got his response just on the spot there, right? They are not ready to fix anything, just to gaslight you like this.
To appeal to our youth to constructively engage with government to finding lasting solutions to Nigeria's problems, rather than engaging in protests that may start peacefully but usually get hijacked and may lead to anarchy. What have we ever gained from protests except losses in productivity, loss of lives, loss of private and government property, looting, and vandalization of assets? This government has only been in office for 1 year. Cutting of the head is not the solution to a headache. Inflation is worldwide. Our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had very little choices when he assumed office. He had to take the bull by the horn. He had to remove the subsidy. He had to float the naira. Otherwise, it would have been worse. Trust me. Ladies and gentlemen, this administration has initiated a lot of interventions to cushion the effect of inflation. Recently, we've had the announcement of the minimum wage. We've had a lot of youth and vulnerable empowerment. Student loans are being put in place. Our Greek and fertilizer inputs are being given to our farmers. They are provided food items as palliatives at subsidized prices, amongst others. Great Nigerian students, this current wave of inflation is biting everywhere. It is in the UK, in the US, in Ghana, and in Egypt. So it is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Which investor will be attracted to a nation that is under siege by protesters or perceived as not peaceful, please do not allow yourself to be used by a so-called leaderless movement sponsored by frustrated politicians who tried in the past and lost. We do not need protest. We must not gamble with anarchy. Please let us dialogue. One
nuisance lele.
So the students were, we will protest. Get the hell out of here. Okay. And then a PhD candidate at the same venue just dropped his speech. He was supposed to deliver a speech. He just dropped the speech and said, I'm just going to say something here to all of you, including these two governors seated here. If all of you can just stop looting, you are not our leaders. You are our servants to their faces. There, yesterday.
I'm pleased to invite Dr. Michael Ajala, the president of the graduating class postgraduate, for his own short speech.
There's something I wanted to show you too, because, you know, we need to kind of make that clear. Dubious Dakbo is a criminal, all right? A career criminal. That is his mugshot when he was arrested for financial fraud, credit card fraud, money laundering, and what have you in Florida way back in the 80s. So this guy returned to Nigeria, joined the gang of other rogues there. He became a smuggler, and then from there he became what do you call that one? We call these ones that are moving crude oil. What do we call them? Bunkering. So from bunkering, he made some money, started the oil company called Aiding Oil. He found his way around, got into the Diazanis and the rest of them crew, and this guy got a chunk of hundreds of millions of dollars in subsidy. His company and himself were under probe before the 2015 elections. This guy was supposed to be in jail in a supposedly working country. When you are talking about those that are giving Nigerian government fake bill of lading, they will say they have brought in petrol or brought in this amount of petrol to Nigeria to come and sell. So the government of Nigeria will now subsidize that, right? Let's assume that their landing cost is 500 naira. So Jonathan government would have to pay them, let's say 420 naira. So they would 417 naira. And you can buy a liter of petrol for 87 naira or so, right? So that then these guys, meanwhile, it was actually like empty tanks. It's a corruption, it's a fraud that they have been carrying out with the NNPC guys, okay? So that was what Jonathan removed in 2012. That your whole Nigeria bandits, Tifnumbu, mobilized and funded the protest against. So that subsidy they were removing, they removed them. They started probing the marketers who were collecting the money. One of them, Aiding Oil, owned by this criminal, Dubious Dapo, okay? So because Jonathan got removed in 2015, that was why Dubious Dapo and his Aiding Oil were able to be scrubbed, scrubbed out of those who were collecting subsidy money, but they were not delivering anything to Nigeria. It was supposed to refund possibly like hundreds of millions of dollars and also go to jail. But Jonathan was ganged up against, he was removed. And Dubious Dapo went on to become governor. Now he's the governor, telling people that some desperate politicians are the ones sponsoring the people that are complaining of hardship. So people should not listen to them. But yeah, this is what the professor had to tell him. The PhD, the doctor had to say to him.
I'm pleased to invite Dr. Michael Ajala, the president of the graduating class postgraduate, for his own short speech.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our Excellencies, may I please stand on the existing protocol. It gladdens my heart to be here with everybody. First, getting a PhD a few months short of 64, and passing through the rigors of academics in the past 8 years. And that is the story of every one of us, especially those of us that had the privilege of going through the elongated program. We come from Lagos every week, or from Ibadan, Kaduna, Abuja. And I remember there was a time coming from Lagos to Ileshan, we take you 5 hours. And going back, we take another 6 hours. But we persevered and we won. I wouldn't want to repeat myself and repeat what others have said. But I want to charge us. The only way we can patch this country again is to be our brother's keeper. There is no point of you acquiring wealth and stashing them outside the country when your fellow Nigerians are suffering. I am very happy that 2 of our governors are here. This country is always shouting the name of the president when they are in need. Nobody is talking of our governors. We must please query our governors, query our chairmen of councils. We must ask questions. We voted for them. They are responsible to us. And please, don't stand on the sideline. Be a true Nigerian. When you elected somebody to serve you, that person is not your leader. That person is supposed to be your servant. To make this country great, I plead with us, touch lives, and touch lives. You will read my speech on the paper, and I will say thank you to everybody for gracing this occasion and making it memorable for the graduating class. And to my graduating colleagues, I say, God bless you. Congratulations. More wins. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. You can see a standing ovation for you from your colleagues.
See to their faces, it's going to get hotter. Now, let's now go back to those who are actually really behind those who are coming out. Now, I do not speak this language, but what this younger woman is saying is that she's joining the protest, and not because anybody wants her to, but because of what the life that the ruiners of our own states, of our states, they have done to her. She deserves better, and she can't continue living like this. That's what she's saying. So therefore, zanga dole ne.
Ni ƴar ƙauye ce, birni ma sun fito sun yi magana, balle mu da suke mana kara, Allah sarki mu ƴan ƙauye. Jiha ta Katsina, local government ɗina Ɗandime, gari na unguwar mai gayya. Za mu yi noma, sannan su kwashe mana ƴan uwa, mu haɗa kuɗaɗen mu je mu kai musu. Sannan mu koma muna sayan abin da muka noma da kanmu da tsada. Allah sarki mu ƴan ƙauye. Muna buƙatan abubuwa da yawa, amma abin da muka fi buƙata a nan shine tsaro. Allah sarki. Sun kore mu, sun maida mana garinmu ya zama kufai. Sun maida mu garin da ba za mu iya rayuwa ba cikin tsada. Allah sarki, Allah sarki. Za mu fito, za mu yi zanga-zanga. Ina tare da ku 'yan zanga-zanga, amma za mu yi zanga-zanga cikin lumana, cikin aminci. Sannan ina gargaɗinmu da mu yi zanga-zanga kada mu sake mu taɓa kayan kowa. Mu fa ba mu ce muna buƙatan zama a gida mai kyau ba, ko AC, ko mu ci shinkafa mu ci kaza. A'a, abin da kawai muke buƙata mu 'yan ƙauye za mu ci tuwo da miyan kuka. Hakan kuma yana yi mana daɗi, muna alfahari da hakan. Amma muna buƙatan mu shiga daji, mu yo ice, mu yo kara, mu zo mu yi girki cikin aminci. Kash hakan ya gagara, don Allah ƙasata, muna neman tsaro, mu 'yan ƙauye. Ya Allah ka shiga lamarinmu, za mu fito babu gudu, babu ja da baya, zanga-zanga ranar 1 ga wata, ko da hakan yana nufin mutuwanmu. In har za mu mutu, yaranmu su rayu, su ji daɗi, hakan ba komai bane a gare mu. Allah ka sa mu dace, cikin aminci da inganci, babu abin da zai faru, abin da namu ne, abin da ba namu bane, ba namu bane. Wani dogon nazari gare shi, wani ko gajeren lissafi ne da shi. Duk abin da Allah ya nufa zai same mu, shine zai same mu. Za mu fito, za mu kwana, ba ci babu sha, har sai mun samu sauyi a cikin ƙasarmu. Allah ya sa mu dace. Ni ƴar ƙauye ce.
Shebi dem tell you say they no dey social media. Abi? That the northern Nigeria, most of them are not on social media. They don't know what is going on. You are just wasting your time on social media. If you don't understand why Tinubu and the rest of them are panicking, right? Then I will continue to show you why. You don't have to believe it. Now they are sharing food on the streets, blocking the road. Everywhere now.